Hello YouTube, Aaron here doing a little tech chat slash showcase of what I've been doing recently. This is mainly just to talk about what I believe is the best way moving forward with my distributions to make it easier for myself. Since I don't have a day job, I would never be able to change my day job. This is what I do for a hobby, whether it be music, game mods or software on Linux. Now, I started as a Windows power user. I originally started using game mods on San Andreas back in the day in probably like 2008, something like that, and I would customise people's textures to the cars and make different colours and whatever, but I'd never post anything on the internet because I was so young-minded and it wasn't something I was into back then. And gradually getting older, I got into music. That's where I started first. I'm into jungle, kind of like breakcore jungle sort of thing, the old school, not this new school stuff with the lyrics and everything else. I'm more into the 1993, 90 to 95, 96, 97 jungle. And you do get some sort of vocals on it, but it's not the same jungle that people know as today. It's this transition to the new type, kind of like jump up sort of drum and bass sort of jungle, should I say. I don't know how else to put it. I'm more into the old dubs mixed together, put as many, because that's what I used to do. I used to do the same thing here when I say what I'm going to say next. Is I used to mix as many sounds as I can into one sound, and if it sounds good, then it's good. You know, that's what got me into making music in the first place, because, you know, to make something and to be able to be good at it, you need to first have that inspiration. You need to listen to what other people do and take your own from it. And that's where I was mixing, say, 30, 40 different sounds into one. I've actually got music on YouTube, but I'm not going to be posting that on here. It's not something that I used to promote. I don't have any lyrics from myself on there or anything like that. And I gave up really from that side of it, because I used to get drunk quite a lot. I do smoke weed, I'll be honest with you. I used to drink quite a lot, and that's what I used to do. So that's kind of what got me into the jungle, really. Like, GTA is obviously where I got it from. MX Radio, is it? MX Radio 95 to 96, was it? Or was it 98, 96 to 98, something. I know it's called MX Radio, yeah, and that's what I used to listen to on the old Vice City, was it, or GTA 3, one of the two. But that's what got me into jungle and making it myself. Then obviously I got into the game mods from downloading other people's game mods, and I actually was learning how to make music in school back in the day, so that kind of was a big thing for me. I used to play the guitar, I could play 3 songs. Knocking on Heaven's Door, Amaretto was another one. I'm not going to sing no lyrics here. I'm pretty sure we've done the Beatles' Yellow Submarine, but I don't know, it's such a long time ago. For some reason that song does come up in my head. We all live in the Yellow Submarine. But yeah, so I got into Linux because obviously for me I was having issues with Windows. The automatic update side of it, the constant, you know, telemetry side of it. Now, typically speaking, you don't constantly reinstall Windows, but when I have to reinstall Windows for whatever reason, may it be a friend or whatever, there's the constant having to set it up. Now, we all know Chris Titus Tech. If you don't know him, then I don't know what planet you're living on. I'm not saying it's a bad thing that you don't know him or whatever, but he is kind of a very big major developer on the net. You know, he helps a lot of people. I do credit him. I actually sponsor him on YouTube, and I also sponsor him on GitHub because of my money situations. I can't always do it on GitHub, but my YouTube is automatically paid for my EE contract. So yeah, that just directly comes out. He's fun to watch. I'm happy to pay to watch his videos and gather some information and inspiration. And of course I will tell other people to, you know, join his community, learn some stuff from Chris Titus Tech. A lot of stuff that he says is, you know, it's inspirational and you can learn from it. But basically, I was doing a lot of things. I can't remember what that. So I got a bit lost there. So I was a Windows power user, and of course, when you're setting up Windows, it's troublesome, should I say. Now, if you don't know Chris Titus Tech, you're probably not going to know about his tool, but the Chris Titus Tech Windows tool that he does provide uses many of the things that I used to use individually, which is why what got me into using his tool, because it's just all bundled up with all these goodies. It's like, I don't know, it's like a pirate's treasure chest, you know. It's got everything in its Pandora's box. It's what you need on Windows. You've got this, that and the other. And of course it just makes it so easier to just download this one tool and have it all in one, instead of having it all these different other tools such as Geek Uninstall. We've got Win Shut Up. I actually use D Control by Sordom. That removes the Microsoft antivirus, because I don't use antivirus. There's no point using it. If you know what you're downloading, then you shouldn't have any issues. If you're going to be going out there downloading stuff willy-nilly that you know could potentially cause problems with your computers, then you're just asking for it. So do your tests. You know, if you're going to download something, make sure you at least test it on another machine or in a virtual machine beforehand, because it could potentially crash your computer. Then you've got to reinstall again, which is why I say Windows as a whole is just so troublesome. Like, I respect the fact that Chris Titus Tech actually provides this software and makes it easy for people. I recently got into it's called Tiny 11, because I actually like Windows 11. I've done a lot of tests in my time, beta tests, so I use Windows 8, Windows 8.1, Windows 10 and 11, all before they come out, and I was one of the many developers that actually made Windows for what it is now, doing the tests, reporting bugs. I do the same for KDE. I also do the same for Facebook on Android. I do the same for WhatsApp on Android, which is owned by Facebook. YouTube, I do the same. I test a lot of software, and I actually signed a non-disclosure agreement for Skull and Bones by Ubisoft, which is a pirate PvP game. So before that came out, I was one of the many people to test it, and I actually do enjoy that game. I was going to buy it. It's like £40 at the time. Obviously, I do still get the messages on my email to beta test the new versions that are coming out. The last one I think was on the 30th of June. I missed it, so I joined it on the day that it finished, and I was like, I really wanted to play that. But I'll possibly get back into that. But Windows is just so I like Windows 11 for some reason. It's just so much easier than Windows 10 and Windows 8 and Windows 8.1. Windows 10 for me, it was just all over the place. I don't like the layout of the menu. Okay, so obviously all the things in the applications are exactly the same, pretty much same interface. But the whole desktop theme side of it, I don't like. I really do not like Windows 10 in that manner. Windows 11 is just so much more easier. You've got everything, you know. I normally turn my windows red, completely red. To do that, you have to go onto the dark windows. I don't know why it does that, but I normally change my settings to dark, then turn it completely dark red. I've actually recently put an image, so if we, I'm on Badoo dating, no one talking at the moment. So as we go to GitHub, I got the best of lives. We all live pretty much in the same boat, same shoes, so what I do on a day-to-day occasion doesn't really matter, does it? So we go here, we go to my project on GitHub. I'm going to be putting a link in the description if you want to download any of my tools. They're mostly shown on here, and we also have my website I recently updated, and there's going to be a lot more on there soon as well. I just have no big rush to basically update this just yet, because there's a lot of projects I'm doing. If we go on here, there's going to be some music that plays. We're just showing things. We're not here to play music today. But everything is basically on here anyway. So we've got an application that I just recently updated as well. And what I'm doing is I'm showing you a wallpaper. So I don't know why I did this. We come here and we click on my name somewhere. Where is it? There. Come here, we've got loads of different wallpapers, and the wallpaper I want to show is exactly what I use on my Windows. So I could talk about this. Is So if you know me as a whole and you downloaded some of my old software, you're going to know about these pictures because it is something that I did used to release. It's what I build on Windows when I use Windows. So I put it into Linux basically at one point. There was something called New York City, and then we've got something else. Oh, that ain't all of mine, yeah. Summit, Refractor, Heaven, Eclipse. We're definitely going to be able to find it, isn't it? Maybe not under the KDE wallpapers, because at the time I didn't know about KDE. Wallpapers being a thing. It is definitely on here. I know it's on here because I put it on here myself. Can we find it today, or we're going to be waiting till tomorrow, Junior? Where is it? Right, here we go. Lancaster and New York. So New York is what I use as my login screen, and that's what I used to use as my login screen. And then I made that my boot animation for on my Linux, and I don't know if Lancaster is the other one. Yeah, this is it. So this is what I normally have on my Windows as my home screen. And I like this picture of Paradise. I'm all for Paradise. I'd have a nice barbecue there. We've got music playing over there. You know, beers on the side over here. You know, where this bit is here. You can turn this into some fun, massive party. You know, not everyone has to get off their head. You can enjoy yourself and listen to some music, chat to your friends. You know, this is where I want to be in life. And this is why I put it as a picture. So I can't directly say that, you know, I could see myself being in this situation, but it would be like I'd like to be there at some point, you know. Not that it could happen. It's more of a dream. But I just posted a video. I couldn't get no sound because I'm on a Cache OS handheld edition. So yeah, I've moved now from ISOs to .img.xz. Now I've done this because of the better compression and it's just easier to install. So the method that I do supply online is to DD the image to a hard drive or SSD. Now this SSD I burnt the other day because I made some sort of an error with gparted, which I will talk about. And it's just so much easier. What you do is you DD the image to your SSD or hard drive, and then you just come to this location here. We go to the op directory and we just generate the fstab. We don't need to install anything else. We don't need to do anything else after we generate the fstab. Now you can check this file, and like Chris Titus text says, don't just trust that random YouTube guy. Always check what you're installing beforehand, and which is why I'm showing you this here. You can of course check it yourself if you do download my software. Basically this essentially sets up the BTRFS subvolumes, and I'm going to be showing my software, not the Cache OS handheld edition, since it will not work in a live environment. To install the handheld edition you don't have to log in as root either, which is what I'm going to be showing in a virtual machine. But the handheld edition basically automatically logs in, and you're going to want to come to here just like I'm showing here, and just generate the fstab. And what that do, just set up all the different subvolumes to mount during the boot. You set up the fstab and reboot, and then everything will be usable. But yeah, you don't need to log in as root on the handheld edition. You just DD it to an SSD or hard drive, and then generate your fstab when you log in, and then just reboot again. That'll take you the best part of maybe a minute and a half, since it takes like 5 seconds to DD to a SSD, literally 5 seconds, and it takes less than a minute to even reboot. And then you're going to want to generate your fstab, that takes 1 second, and then so maybe 2 minutes, the best part of 2 minutes, and you'll have a fully running system. Whereas obviously with an ISO, put it on a USB, boot the USB, install it from a USB. You're going to take around about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, depending on your system. If you're using an SSD or a hard drive, you know, there's different timings that come into play. You know, your hardware could be slow, your your SSD might be a hard drive. You might have a disk drive. You know, there could be complications. And I also would like to say as well, if the .image.xz, because this is of course talking about my cloning software that I use to create these .images.xz, if it's over 4 GB, then it will not boot from a USB, which is why I say to DD straight to a hard drive / SSD. And even then, you're going to need to install it from the USB, which makes it more complicated. It's going to take more time, when all you have to do is just DD it to an SSD or hard drive, and then just generate an STAB, like I said. Depending on whether you're installing the handheld edition like I'm using, or just the normal full desktop edition, really. Obviously, there's different steps. I want to talk about some of the applications that I've had to remove from my full editions, because if you've been using my distributions, well, if you know me from me, I started in 2023 October, and I started using Penguin's eggs. I didn't even know about Penguin's eggs. It took me 6 months, nearly a year, to even know what Penguin's eggs was. I really wanted to clone my Linux systems at the time, because I've had enough of reinstalling Windows. I wanted a perfectly good backup that I could just put on an SSD or hard drive and store and save, and if I ever needed to reinstall because of something or the other goes wrong, that Arch, being Arch obviously at the time wasn't stable, so it gave me more of a reason to do it. And I didn't really know Arch at the time, of course. Obviously, yeah, this is why I thrive to find software to do such a thing. Now, Penguin's Eggs being very, very good. I highly respect Penguin's Eggs. I've got Perio, the developer, on Facebook as a friend. I talk to him in his group chat. I support a lot of developers and help a lot of developers, because I've got a lot of knowledge that some others might not have, or I've got a lot of time that other people haven't got, because obviously I haven't got a day job. This is what I do for a hobby. And I do it day and night, you know. I drink coffee, I smoke weed, I drink a little bit here and there, I'm on my vape. This is my YouTube account. I'm not scripted. I do what I want, when I want, how I want, and if you don't like it, speaking really from the truth, from the heart, I'm not going to come across and slander off anyone. I'm not going to have an argument with you. I'm well past all of that. If you typically don't like me, you know, we all have our own opinions or whatever else, then so be it. You know, I'm not going to say, oh yeah, okay, you know, you said that, so I'm going to have an argument and rant at you because you said this, that, and I've got my own life to be living. I need to watch some Netflix. I might need to go on DeepSeek to make the next biggest thing that I think is a good idea to make. I might even want to go on Bottles and just have a little game, but the last thing I want to do is sit there and have a rant with someone who's got an opinion about something that they might not have the right information about. Because there's a lot of people on the internet that obviously say one thing, but then they're highly uneducated about the topic. Like, I'll be speaking to someone about a prime example. I'm trying to think, because me and my friend interested in dev, or Sebastian should I say, we're always constantly in these chats, and there's hot topics that pop up. So like, we try and make different software better by suggesting newer ways. It's all about evolution. We can't always stay in the same boat, you know. Recently I've just provided a new update, and as you can see on the screen now, I'm using Brave browser. We don't want to use Firefox anymore. Let's use Brave browser. We've got built-in Tor. We've got it's pretty much like Firefox as it is. You've got the extensions, you've got the theme side of it. It's Google Chromium based. What else could you want? Brave is like it is the top-notch browser on the internet, really. I made an app image of it probably 5 months ago, and had I tested it then and seen the features, I may have used it in an update that was coming out. But I was so clueless. I was just making app images and really pay attention to what I was making. Like, I knew, yeah, they had names or whatever. I wasn't testing them in the sense of finding the features. Of course, I knew the app images would work because I'd open them to like see the main screen, but I wouldn't know, yeah, oh, this has got Tor browser. This now has FlagFox, or it's not called FlagFox, it's called Country Flag. This has AdGuard, you know, this is the features that I add. AdGuard is really good for YouTube videos, so like if you, because Brave browser's already got its own ad blocker, it makes no sense, but Obviously, ad guide is something I used on Firefox to get around the whole YouTube adverts. Although I do have YouTube Premium that I pay for, it was just another way, you know. There was a time I didn't have YouTube Premium because I stopped paying for it, so that was my excuse to use the ad guide at the time. And obviously essentially got back onto YouTube Premium, and then I started paying for Chris Titus Tech on YouTube. I subscribed to him to gather more information and see, oh, what am I missing? Because I'm not subscribed to Chris Titus Tech. I'm not going to find this bit of information out, because he don't post it to other people until like maybe a month later, 2 months later. I don't really know how it works with his channel, but of course he's posting videos out for subscribed users, and I just thought, well, I might as well join that and see what else I can learn, because it's got so much information to give to people. I'm missing out. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to join it. I'm going to see what I can get involved with. Maybe shed a comment or two here and there, and just see where it goes, you know. And I'll be honest with you, I'm actually glad that I did subscribe, because there is a lot of videos that I have watched in the subscribed members video list, should I say, that I wouldn't have found, I wouldn't have gathered the information from. So anyway, I want to talk about the applications that I've removed. So when I was first started in 2023, and my full edition, since I do minimals and fulls, they used to have GIMP. How to put it like this? So I focused it on video gamers, editors, and office users. And I'd say that because I'd have Cake there, I'd have LibreOffice, OBS Studio, Critter, GIMP, Caden Live, Inkscape. You know, I'd have the multimedia side of it, the editing side, and then obviously the gaming side. So like obviously you got Bottles there, Yuzu, Xbox Gaming Cloud, Steam. Obviously then you got K, GIMP. So, my images are just getting too huge. Bottles is 2 GB, around 2 GB as it is. And then you have to install Bottles. So, Bottles is 2 GB from Flatpak. Then once you click that Bottles icon, you're going to see that it's going to want to set itself up. So then what's that? Is that another 600 megabytes? Because it's starting itself up. This is why I don't set it up in my machines, in my clones. So, of course, you can do that yourself. And I want it, obviously, when I first started, I was primarily using Flatpaks. So that, like, everything was pretty much a Flatpak. So, prime example was, say like Qubit Tom was a Flatpak, Steam was a Flatpak at one point. What else? I'll just close this quick. There was a lot of things that were basically sizing my system up too large, and I just thought, well, this is going to be my way of removing some of that accumulated space, and that was by turning things into app images. And then I realised, oh, well, Steam as an app image, or if I make an app image of this isn't going to work. If I make an app image of this, it's not going to work because of this reason. Linked library, you know, that's missing, or this, that, and the other. And I essentially made my own app images for Facebook, Facebook Messenger, Telegram, WhatsApp, Discord, Netflix, YouTube app images. It does need a little bit of an update, but you can download videos from there. Usually I didn't make so I made the BTRFS system cloner as well, which is another tool we will talk about soon. The KD systems, the KD store viewer. The browser that I've made as well. I've made the HTML viewer. I've made the Mega. I've made the DeepSeek browser app image, should I say. So I obviously started as a noob, should I say. I hate the word noob or newbie, but I started as someone new on Linux, so I didn't know absolutely nothing. Jack shit, yeah. This obviously is my YouTube, so I could basically speak how normally we speak on a day-to-day occasion. You know, this is me at home sat in the living room sort of thing, yeah. Obviously, I didn't know nothing. How to do this, how to do that. How do I set up my Wi-Fi in a terminal when I ain't got no desktop screen? You know, if people take Linux for granted, people take the Linux kernel for granted, and not a lot of people know that the Linux kernel was mostly built on drivers. Without them drivers, you ain't gonna have no hardware support. You ain't gonna have no eye candy, which is why I used to build my systems without even a desktop. At one point, my distribution would boot into TTY with options. Do you want to boot the desktop? Do you want to do this, or do you want to do that? There's even music being played at the time. It was a funky one. I just thought I'd do something fun. It turned a bit into mainstream, that I was promoting people to download it, and I thought, well, this as a whole is a bit stupid, really. And obviously there's a lot of things I have done a bit stupid on the internet that haven't been stable or practical, should I say. And well, I do still believe that people take the Linux kernel for granted, you know. Oh yeah, this distribution's good, that distribution's good. Oh, but listen, when it comes down to Linux as a whole, there is no distribution, there's just a kernel, there's no eye candy, there's TTY. There's just a console, mate. So, you know, when people talk about Linux from scratch and stuff like that, I'm all about that, because Linux from scratch does not start with a Debian net install or Arch install. It starts with a kernel and drivers, and you have to build it yourself. You have to compile the kernel and build it with the menu yourself to support your hardware. And a lot of people, Fedora's the best, Debian's the best, this is the best, but they've done the work for you. So you can sit there and say, this is the best, that's the best, this, that and the other. But when it comes down to Linux as a whole, or Linux is user friendly, Linux is this, Linux is that, do you really understand Linux, or are you just using a desktop that someone else has built for you and then being happy about it? Because, you know, if they hadn't have done the work, the testing, like, obviously the Arch users do a lot of the testing for all them Debian users. They get the packages 6 months to a year later. I don't think you understand that every single package that is on the Linux desktops is all built from Git. Every single one of them is built from Git in a different way, whether it's downloaded from Git and compiled in a certain manner, or an old version, this, that and the other. It's all from Git and compiled. So a lot of the Arch users actually get their packages from Git directly, which is why I say that the Arch users do the testing for all them other slow release distros that claim themselves to be LTS. We're the ones doing the test, mate. If you're on Debian, if you're on Ubuntu, this, that and the other, you're getting software that's being tested by rolling release users, whether it be Arch, Fedora, or whatever else, 6 months to a year later, and then, oh yeah, Debian's the best, Ubuntu's the best, but your packages have all been tested because of us. If we didn't test your packages, you wouldn't have an LTS claimed distribution. Now obviously we know there is no LTS KDE desktop anymore. It's going to be rolling release, and I'm all for that. And then how is Ubuntu going to claim that anything's LTS on KDE anymore? You can't. You can't claim LTS KDE. So if Ubuntu wants to put an ISO out and claim it as LTS, they're lying. So there's a lot of key things that we need to put into play. Misinformation on the internet, things people don't know that they should know, or things that people think they know that they don't know. You know, and I'm still learning myself. This is why I watch a lot of Chris Titus text video. This is 2.5 years later after, you know, using Penguin's eggs. I'm now making my own cloning software, and obviously we get back down to the fact that .image.xz is the best compression, and it's just so much easier. All you need to do is download the image.xz, extract it, and then DD it to an SSD. HDD. It takes 5 seconds of your time to DD it to an SSD. If you've got a hard drive, it might take a minute or 2 minutes, maybe a bit longer. But once you've DD'd that, you could then reboot, log in, and then generate the FSTAB, and then reboot again. This will take you the best part of maybe 5 minutes as a maximum, and you're running my system like no tomorrow with no issues. You've got sound, you've got a nice good looking desktop, you can play the gaming handheld version if you want. You know, so anyway, this is kind of a rant. I love it. We love ranting, you know, depending on the topic. I'm gonna showcase my full edition Apex CKGE in the virtual machine, since the handheld edition will not work in a virtual machine or live environment because it needs Your hardware, I couldn't tell you exactly what it would be, but I've got an image that is the backup that I made the other day of my full edition, and I've also got an ISO here just to show some of the things. So it's going to pop up my full edition first. We're going to boot into it. I'm going to tell you what you need to do. So you can't actually log in with my account because the home directory doesn't exist, which is what I'm going to show you once I reboot in a minute. But we can log in as root, and then we can come to this location. Just here, I've already gone to it, and like Chris Titus Tech says on the internet, don't just trust a random YouTube guy. He did say that in one of his videos. Do not just trust a random YouTube guy. Always check what you're installing before you install it, which is what I'm going to show you here. And you can also do the same yourself. Come to this location, open this file and check what it's doing. Basically, it's just generating the subvolumes. This isn't something that usually... how can I put it? People that claim to have a BTRFS Arch system will give you an ISO that is primarily ext4 or will not have these subvolumes. The only way that this is, well, it possibly could have the subvolumes, but it's going to log you into root like it does with this one. Maybe, I don't know, I've never seen a distribution with BTRFS as a default. My .images are BTRFS with these subvolumes, so I stand corrected. Obviously, if anyone else on the internet is doing what I'm doing in the way of obviously giving out a distribution that's default BTRFS. So obviously this is BTRFS. I don't think we've... So we've got BTRFS, as we can see in the terminal, and also if we go to that BTRFS sub volume slash is it sub volume list. I watched a Chris Titus text video, and this is what helped me with this one. But as you can see, we've got all the different sub volumes that are set up now, since I recently had to recreate my whole .image.xz software cloner and installer because they changed the mounts on CashOS, maybe, or even Arch, I don't know. But they changed the mounts from what I was using at the time a week later to something else, and I was nearly done with my software, and then, well, a week later I've now got my software out with the new ones. So these are the subvolume lists. You can't log in because the home directory, which I will show in a minute, will not exist until you at least generate the fstab, which is why you need to come here. Once you've DD image to an SSD or hard drive, you generate the fstab and just reboot. And we're going to go into an ISO now, and so I can't really show what it would be in a virtual machine, but I can show you how to use it and set it up in a way. We've got my ISO here. I can't generate the fstab in the image, because then if you DD it to a hard drive, it will not boot because the UUIDs will mismatch. Also, you can't DD an image that's over 4 GB to a USB, and you're going to need an extra installer. So this is the reason why I really don't, well, my systems are 7 GB once compressed. Uncompressed, you get the full system size. So, because the minimal's been scrapped at the moment. Next month is when I'm going to release a new update, since I cloned it, but then I used Quang AI to change my code. DeepSeek was being slow at the time, and it changed my code in a way that I didn't want it to change. I didn't know because I didn't check correctly, and it cloned the system in the wrong manner, which I will show in a minute. And then I realised this. By that time I had already made the full edition, so I had to recreate the whole full edition and say, right, well, the minimal is going to have to be remade completely again, and I'll do that another time. For now, we'll stick to the full edition, since I've seen a lot more people downloading the full edition on my SourceForge. Obviously, I thought I'd promote my full edition a bit more. But the home directory is here, and this is why it doesn't generate until the fstab. And then the root directory is here, and like I said, obviously it's not going to be in here because of such and such a case. But if I was to copy this to the home directory where this is here, you would be able to log in a virtual machine at least. But you could do that yourself. I'm not going to do that. I can at least show you that the files do exist here. I was going to do a showcase on how to build my desktop from source. So change the colour, put the logo there, and build it the way that I build it. It would take around 40 minutes. But I thought I'd just leave it, just let people download what I do. So we come here, we've got the bought application app images that I provide all here. If we go to here, we've got the .desktops. If we come back and go to bin, we've got the symlinks. If we come here and go to plasmoids, we've got my 12 menu widget that I create. We've also got my taskbar widget that I make. And we've also got a Win 7 show and hide, which is another creator's widget. Credits to that developer. We've also got my splash, which is here, and this is an old version currently. I've got a new one that's just come out, and that will be in a newer update. It's called Apex Splash, and essentially what it does is it changes it keeps my background image for my desktop, which is this one here. And then we've got this new circle that spins around instead of having a loading bar that just shoots across to the right of the screen. I just think this is as a whole a lot better. So yeah, everything was tested before I even released my newer update. I was of course aware that it was cloned into the wrong place. I needed to do some tests to make sure that the USR folder was being cloned correct, because the BTRFS commands, this is what got me scratching my head a little bit. When you're making a BTRFS snapshot, you're essentially snapshotting metadata. And I said, well, how's that one going to work? Because if I actually clone this whole folder that I'm showing you on the screen right now, not clone, but if I was to turn it into a squashfs with my squashfs commands without removing anything, we're going to have issues with certain folders not being able to generate into that squashfs because they need to be removed. But that's not the issue here. That's not the main issue here. It's going to say that the whole thing in here is empty. It's going to say it's empty. There's no way around it. This is why you can't use rsync. Rsync is going to say that you can use rsync, but then it's going to remove, and the same thing again with squashfs. You can't make a squashfs of a system that's got certain files within the system. It's going to say, you know, this is a system file that don't exist. This file we can't take because of this problem. Same with squashfs, and exactly the same for rsync. So BTRFS. The BTRFS commands was the way forward for me, but then I was scratching my head like, because if I make a squashfs of the at directory, it says it's empty. You have to obviously use the right squashfs command, otherwise it will corrupt the whole thing. But even then, there's certain files that will not copy because it's system files. When I made a snapshot, I made a squashfs, because if I was to use a snapshot and directly snapshot that snapshot to a place, it's going to copy a folder that you name and not the whole contents like a squashfs. So if I was to make a squashfs and then unsquash that squashfs, because essentially a squashfs is made from one folder containing with loads of other folders. If I was to squashfs that one folder and then unsquashfs it, it's going to copy all the folders within the folder and not the folder itself. And that's what you need, because obviously you want the folders to go into this location and not just have one folder that's going to have loads of different folders. Now obviously there's going to be things like this, and there's room for improvement. I'm still learning, but it took me maybe 2 weeks to get this as a whole and working, and this is why I decided to make a video on it today. I'm not going to go on too much more about it because there really is nothing else to speak about. I've done some tests in my system containers, Inca system containers, because I thought I was having some issues, like something got changed or something to stop it from working. But then I realised my USR folder wasn't being cloned correctly at the time, because I was getting into .image.xz And just last night I done some tests and I worked out that CashOS handheld edition will not allow you to run a KDE Inca system container. Now to of course even run a KDE Inca system container, you either need Plasma Nano or you need to be on Plasma KDE. So you need to be on Plasma to even run the Inca system container with Plasma inside it. Yeah, the handheld edition, this version that I'm running now, will not run the Inca system container of KDE for some reason. I don't know why. But I installed my main edition Apex CKG full stable edition that's just come out, 104, the one I just showed in the virtual machine. I installed this. I then set up an Inca system container to run a KDE desktop in the container, and it worked perfectly fine. So whatever is missing from here, I don't understand. But this is what drew me into thinking, right, maybe I turned this Steam, this Steam desktop here, or Steam OS should I say, into an Inca system container. Of course, the problem there is, if you've got a handheld, all of the buttons ain't going to work, unless you configure it in a way that I don't know to hand just yet, for it to work with them buttons. But if you wanted to run, say, Steam OS in a container, I'm not saying this is possible yet, you could possibly do that. That's what I'm testing next. You're going to need the right hardware, because and you might need the right kernel. I'm still working on the project. There's a GitHub repository for it, but there's a lot of testing that needs to be done. So you might potentially have to have the right kernel, because they have certain system D hooks. Thinking about this, I didn't think about this last night when I made the GitHub repository for it. This just kind of overcomplicated it a little bit, but it is something I'm working on. I'm going to try and work out. I also want to try and get Android apps to work in a browser. So these are what I'm going to be doing in the background. I don't know what else I could possibly update some of my app images that I've missed. Or just tinker with little projects, because there's nothing major apart from them two that I really want to be working on full time for the minute. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. Sorry I rambled on a little bit and had a little bit of a rant. I just want to get a few bits and bobs out about myself and what I've been doing recently, because I haven't really made any videos to do with my distributions. A lot of people obviously scratching their head thinking, why has he changed over to .image.xz? And that's purely down to the fact that ISOs are just not compressed enough. Really and truly, my systems that are the same size right now, we're looking at like so my Apex CKGE was full edition was 7 GB as an ISO nearly, but then it's 5 GB as a .image.xz. So I'm going to leave it at that. That's a prime example of why I've moved over to .image.xz, other than the fact that you don't need to now install using Calamize or any other cheap installer that I make for myself. And that is it for me. Like I said, I hope you're having a good day or night, whatever time it is when you watch this video.